What's going on, people? My name is Ryan. This is My Free Mind. Today we're talking about why we are attracted to toxic relationships. Today we're focusing on the childhood aspect, your upbringing. What role does that play in why you are attracted to certain people? All right? To get to the root of your problems in your adult life, you really have to take a deep look into your childhood events. Those childhood events play a huge part and dictate quite a lot of our subconscious choices. And a lot of us don't look at those traumas that we went through. So we kind of blindly orchestrate ourselves through our adult lives, wondering why we keep ending up in certain situations and we have no answer. And we simply just think, well, this is me and this is how I am, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. But what dictates that? Cool. So let's look at it from this standpoint. So there are many different languages of love, and these languages of love are formed by repetition, but also formed by your first interaction of what an intimate relationship is. And you get that from your primary ages of 0 to 7. This is all taught to you by you seeing how your mum and dad interact with each other on a love and an emotional level, but also just how they interact with you. This teaches you your idea of love. It forms your language of love. It forms the language of love that you actually understand, right? So from a subconscious level, you are taught what love is. Your idea of love, whether positive or negative, becomes the language of love that you speak on a subconscious level. Now, when something is repetition, it actually becomes a safety net for you because it becomes familiar, and what you know becomes safe, even if what you know is negative. I'm gonna say it again. What you know becomes familiar, and what becomes familiar becomes safe. So a lot of people stay in relationships because it's better the devil you know. Now, we've heard that saying before, but why is it better the devil you know? Because the devil you know is the familiarity that makes you feel secure. Now, that's finding comfort in a burning home. So look, so most parents are generally good parents. They generally try to offer as much emotional stability to their kids as possible. Unfortunately, humans are flawed. So what that means is it leaves room for more of the negative ideas of what love is. Some kids may have grown up in a house of chaos. They may have grown up in a house where one of the parents was emotionally unavailable. So they always felt like they weren't good enough and they always had to fight for attention. Maybe they were in a house where they had loads of siblings and the other ones had bigger characters. So what that then did for them, the more quiet one, was they felt like they always had to fight for their space. They always had to fight for the attention that the louder ones were getting. They always had to fight for the affection that the other ones were getting. They always had to fight to be worthy of the love that you naturally should receive. So it's not so far-fetched then for that child to grow up and understand that type of love, to then, even though you consciously know that it's wrong, but it forms a subconscious understanding that love means I need to fight for affection, I need to fight for attention, even though I consciously know I naturally deserve to be loved. They've never been taught that. So if you've grown up in chaos, you can only speak chaos a lot of the time. This is not always the case. Some kids may have grown up in a household where the parent was emotionally abusive. They may have grown up in a house where the other parent was physically abusive. What that teaches the child, unfortunately, is that someone who claims to love me and care for me unconditionally can also make me feel pain and display actions that someone that hates me would, right? And then with a small apology or a small, oh, do you want some food or whatever, you know, everything's forgotten, right? But what it teaches is a distorted idea of love, that the person who's meant to love you unconditionally can also hurt you. So is it far-fetched then to say that when someone's in an abusive relationship when they're older, it makes sense that they wouldn't leave? Why would they leave that? Because they've got this distorted idea in their head that someone who claims they love me can also hurt me. And you know, we've got these ideologies that love is pain and you have to fight for love and all of these other things. So when we already have that subconscious understanding that love is pain and you've got to fight for love and someone who loves me can also hurt me, then why would you leave when you see those red flags? Because you took it as a kid, that became your idea of love, right? Am I talking sense? Am I talking sense or am I talking sense? Like some parents have even beat their kids and say, I'm beating you because I love you. Have you heard that before, Mum?
Yeah.
Some parents say that, innit?
Yeah.
I'm beating you because I love you. It's coming from a place of love. Do you know how destructive that is?
Yeah.
That's literally mad. So when that kid now is older, so bear in mind, obviously, I don't think that the parent is trying to do bad. But they are genuine. Yeah, it's been done to them. They're genuinely caring for you. Like, I'm trying to make sure you know right and wrong so you don't go out into society and do wrong out there. That's why they're beating. So I understand it. But it definitely teaches a distorted idea. Because forget that. Forget the parent. All you're left with is the equation that this person who loves me can hurt me. Right?
They're allowed to.
They're allowed to.
They love me.
Because they love me. And that
so
forms
for a
that...
man, it says that if I love a woman, then it's okay for me to really beat that woman.
Exactly.
And for a woman, what it says is that, okay, that man loves me. So it's okay for him to beat me. Because
exactly.
That's what I was taught. That's what.
Right. Because people would then look at these people and they say, why won't you leave? Why would you just not leave? He obviously doesn't love you. That distorted idea of love keeps them in that. Because what they're doing is they're staying in a situation that resembles the familiarity. That's what they're looking for. The language of love that they understood. And this is scientific. This isn't my opinion. What you do is, as a child, when you've digested that language of love that's been taught, you search for that when you get older. The intermittent reinforcement,
What you first got from your parents, because that's what they're teaching you.
Exactly.
You know, go and sit on the stairs and I won't talk to you till you come and apologize, till you come and say sorry.
Yeah. So you learn that is an idea of love, because you identify as that person does love me, but at the same time they are teaching you this conditional love, where you realize that actually to qualify for the unconditional love, I need to meet these conditions, which is and conditional.
Only when you do these
only when you do that can you come out of the naughty corner, or can you get the present.
Reward. You say you're sorry and whatever, then you get a kiss and then you get a cuddle.
So now I need to suppress my wants and desires to appease their wants and desires, and now in their eyes I become good and I'm now lovable again. This is a distorted idea of love. And it's mad because the parents aren't doing it to teach them distorted ideas of love. They're literally teaching them the best way they can. But what we're highlighting here is it actually does. We have to look at this. I don't know if we can change that, but at least if we know that we need to look at that, then in adult age, when we're ready to go into these relationships, we know how to correct those wrong ideas of love, the distorted ideas of love. Their love language has been formed before they even were ready for intimate love. Yeah. So now what happens is they are looking, like, their brains will genuinely give them justifiable reasons as to why the good guy or the good girl isn't the one for them. So they'll say, no, he's too nice, or no, she's too boring. Yeah. But in actual fact, what you mean is, this person doesn't quench my thirst for chaos that I learned when I was a kid. This person isn't best suited to serve me the suffering that I remember, that became familiar, which became security
it's again like
for me.
Walking on that nail, you've got a nail in your shoe, and you keep walking on that nail, even though it's uncomfortable and it's hurting you. You're thinking you become accustomed to the pain in that foot, and you learn to walk around it. Like you may limp, or you may lean on one side of the foot more, so you don't actually go in too much, you know. But it hurts and you leave it there instead of stopping and taking it out.
So now that pain actually becomes part of your normality. It becomes familiar. So now when someone comes to you and they give you a brand new shoe, you be apprehensive about the unconditional type of love that shoe's trying to give you now. Because no, I'm not used to that. And like when we're putting it in word like this, it sounds like, no, but why would I not want the new shoe instead of the one that's got the nail in it? Why would I want that? But you have to, like, why do you think people stay in bad relationships? Why do you think that? It's because you have been subconsciously addicted to chaos. So what it is finding comfort in a burning house. I said that before, and that's why you are staying in these bad relationships, because you've been accustomed to the arguments, you've been accustomed to the violence, you've been accustomed to the lack of emotional availability. You've been accustomed to that as a kid. You're addicted to it. This is science, bro. It's science. Dopamine is released into your body when you have an argument. Did you know that? Your cells are addicted to the madness, yeah? That's why you're being, some people will be in relationships, yeah? And it will be going good. It'll be going good. But to them, that's boring. It don't make them feel like they're alive. You mean, it doesn't remind you of the type of love you had when you were a kid. You're not getting the dopamine release.
You get dopamine when you take drugs?
Dopamine is released when you take drugs. It's that thing that activates the reward system in your brain, right? We can go on with this forever, but we're going to save the rest for other videos. But this video was why we're attracted to toxic relationships. And I feel that we've answered that question. My name is Ryan. The voices in the back was my family. Essentially, that was a podcast, I think. That was a podcast.
It is exactly a podcast.
What's the name of the podcast? We'll decide. Anyway, my name is Ryan. This is My Free Mind. And this is the podcast. Thanks.